Hey, it's Chloe. Essay. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Charlie Kirk was the Reichstag fire that they will continue to justify and continue to find similarities to until the perfect society is achieved. Anecdote. When I was featured in the Washington Post, the logic was that I was either defiant or brave or both. How dare one choose to be trans in such a time, to choose to transition anyway, in spite of everything? My personal logic being that I love myself enough to choose myself, for I do not exist in the gaze of whatever is going on in the current political spectrum, if you can imagine. One's life and existence is beyond present, past, and future socio-political constructions. I do what the fuck I want. I do what I can. I do what I need because I am free to. These rights that I have, that we have, that of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, are not provided to us by the government. These rights as a condition of humanity are inalienable. Therefore, a legitimate and democratic, i.e., representative government, must abide by, respect, and uphold these rights, lest said government is therefore illegitimate. The government does not have the authority to infringe upon these rights. Now, body. That applies to this existing situation is that the outrage over Kirk's assassination has become part of the general vilification of trans people who did not actually shoot him, of whom the administration is hell-bent on discrediting, detransitioning, deplatforming, and effectively deleting from public life. Now, they are going after our right to bear arms. They've threatened to have us involuntarily committed, and finally labeling each and every one of us a nihilistic, violent extremist, which could lead to all of us forcibly locked away, if not worse, effectively stripping and removing our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the rights to be free in this society. Now, what does that have to do with you? Well, we all already know about the First They Came For poem, or at least we should, but that's not the point. The consequence of the American project's current descent into more overt fascism, as opposed to the clandestine, subversive, and cultural fascistic elements of colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism this government has imposed throughout our history, is that we, the people, through time and distance, and the conceptual inertia of the arc of the universe bending towards justice, have forgotten the fundamental truth that you can ultimately do whatever the fuck you want as a free person in a free society. We do not do what we want because the government allows us to do so. We do so because we can and therefore will, as we self determine the best way to live our lives. The government, as an inherent creation of the people for the people, must also represent us and that exact concept in a nominally free society because you represent us. You therefore must not infringe upon us. The government is not just powerful because they just are. They do not have resources and take money from us for no reason. The government is specifically, conceptually designed for the betterment and fulfillment of the people. That's why we formed this union. Us, we, ours together. The government being a collective of individuals expressing their power in union is what gives and legitimizes said power. Quite frankly, the government is here to do what we say as a representative body. If the government does not uphold or respect the inalienable rights inherent to all people, even those we find unsavory, then one, how legitimate is their power? And two, if they are not representative as a governing body politic, where do they derive their power from? This is a quid pro quo, the social contract, a fair deal. No taxation without representation. Many concepts say the same thing. Do not tread on me. What do you think the Second Amendment is for? or the Bill of Rights, these fundamental human rights of the Constitution, even in the Declaration of Independence, a union of collectives in free states breaking free of their imperial bounds. Power is not divine, and rights are not debatable. Those are thoughts of kings, and the thoughts of supremacists. They combine in the sense that they are naturally and were always meant to be ahead of us. Therefore, it is their decision, not yours, to determine your life and future, to determine if you are a legitimate version of a person in their eyes. Maybe you are not noble, not wealthy, not a property owner, not white, not a man. You don't follow a specific religion or culture or customs, or you're not in their image of all of the above or some of the above in some way. Then, therefore, your rights and the validity of such are less than theirs. And therefore, because they have said this and they see it that way, they will see to it that it is that way. Do not look for the market to save you from this as the holders of capital. True capitalists in capitalism, an inherent byproduct of feudalism, goes hand in hand with said thought processes of power to the wealthy, aristocracy, and subsequently supremacy. If not also more bluntly, might makes right based on resources and the ability to take and defend said resources. We must do as they say, regardless of their legitimacy or their numbers or our inalienable rights, because you see, they are better than us, put more bluntly. This, therefore, is a deeper structural, intellectual battle for the soul and for that of self determination as a concept. That's how and why it matters to you and to the future of civilized society. That's why it matters to me. Resistance is not merely awareness in and of itself of this perversion of representative governance. Resistance is the action based upon the knowledge that you do not have to subscribe to their perspective and your own inevitable subjugation. You can actively run counter to it, and in fact, do what you want as you should. Now, in a genuinely oppressive structure where the government has forgotten the raison d'etre, there will be consequences, as we all found out on the Death Star, and as we go down the stanzas of the poem. While they may have hijacked and perverted the levers of power to do whatever, whenever, one has to ask themselves, to what degree do you have power? To what degree do you, the people, have power collectively? And to what degree is their power only truly, physically, and literally maintained by the consent of the masses? To what degree is their power only and specifically upheld by the threat of violence, which goes back to the question of their legitimacy? If we hold our self determination to be an inalienable foundation, would that not therefore require that their legitimacy be actively questioned, and therefore the consent of the masses actively earned? Remember, people, if you do not go along with this descent into fascism and oppression, they do not have as much power as it may seem. But what about the consequences? And therein lies the rub. Public safety is the reason for the season. I am keeping you safe because you cannot be trusted with your own safety and that of others. So we will remove your rights because we are keeping not just society safe, but you safe from yourself. That's all I get you. That's how it's justified. As the great Lois Griffin parrots 9/11. Even the late Charlie Kirk said, in paraphrase, safety cannot be absolute in order to preserve the various freedoms and rights we hold to be inalienable. Therefore, to truly be free as a self determining individual is to secure your own safety, to find safety through your life and pursuits, to experience safety through liberty. What is freedom but the security to live life unbound, everlasting, beyond whatever physical, financial, social, political consequences may come? We hold these truths to be self evident. Give me liberty, Patrick Henry cries. What does Webster say about soul? Gil Scott Heron cries. To be free of borders, free of gender, free to say whatever you want. There are deeper levels of conceptual self-determination at play here that are under threat here. You go down the rabbit hole. And minimalizing the fallout of aggression to topical headlines facing specific unicorn demographics is to trivialize our collective and inevitably personal individual humanity conceptually. Gaza, immigrants, trans people, this is only the beginning. Where do these restrictions, the vilifications, the oppression, the decline of freedom overall in the name of safety finally end? We must collectively, individually unite across all backgrounds and creeds to maintain the ultimate freedom provided to all living beings naturally. We must live our lives and be free in spite of it all, because of it all. Do with that as you will. Be vigilant.